Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Thursday. It's September 21st. It is 2023. We have 7 baseball games to talk about here on today's podcast, joined today by TJ. TJ, what's happening, my friend?
I'm not tired, Stevie. You're tired. You ready to dive into this baseball slate? Had a slightly profitable Wednesday night, and so ready to keep it rolling for Thursday.
Yeah, had a good early slate. Was heavy on Washington. They had a monster game.
Same. That was it.
Yeah, it was a good early slate. Late slate, I played some pick'em. I just couldn't build a lineup that I liked, and I've learned over my 10 plus years of like playing DFS, if like you just don't like a lineup and there's nothing that like is fitting to make you like a lineup, just take the slate off. And that's what I did on the late slate, the 4-game and 6-game slate, and just did some pick'em. I had a Mitch Keller Justin Steele combo that just hit barely. I had Michael King's over strikeout prop, Mitch Keller or Justin Steele's strikeout prop by himself, and that pushed and took Bellinger's like fantasy score this morning at like 11 or 12 o'clock was like 7. And I think it finished at like 8.5 projection for Pick'em. So got on that, and yeah, Spidey and Stevie, let's get it. I agree, let's get it. So we just finished up the NFL show about an hour ago, and then I just finished up the NASCAR Running Hot podcast by Action Network about 20 minutes ago. So yes, 3 shows in a row, and appreciate you guys for hanging out with us here. We're going to jump right in and get started talking about this 7-game slate. Toronto at New York is where we start first. 7.5 total in this game. Yankees, a 140 season. We got Cole and Berrios facing off against each other. Any interest here in Jose Berrios?
I think maybe a little bit. $8,600 is a reasonable price tag for him going up against the high strikeout Yankee team. He's been pitching very, very well recently. So yeah, I do think I have a little bit of interest in Berrios here at 8,600.
Yeah, very right-handed heavy team. His strikeout rate is a little bit higher against righties. On the season, it's lower, but recently it's higher. Gives up a lot more power to lefties as well. They just don't have a ton of lefties in this lineup. He's not my favorite play, but I definitely could see if I play like 3 to 5 teams here, getting some exposure to Berrios. Garrett Cole on the other side, super expensive Garrett Cole on the other side of this game, 12-2 on DraftKings, $2,200 more than the next price pitcher on this slate. And we just kind of saw King pitch really well against this very right-handed heavy Toronto team on Wednesday night. I think like pure raw points wise, Garrett Cole is probably the highest scoring raw points player on the slate, but 12-2 is a steep asking price on the slate.
Yeah, 100%. Unless we go through this here and it's like we find a stack that it's like, wow, everybody's 3K and below, and we love them. Otherwise, I don't think I'm going to be able to get to much Garrett Cole today.
Yeah, overall, gosh, depending on lineups, like you said, do we get value? Because there's not like a cheap pitcher on the slate that I like love. I mean, there's playable guys for sure, but like the Braves are in a fantastic spot just in general against Jake Irvin, and I feel like you want to pay up to get some Braves, but you're not going to be able to get Braves and Cole. So it's just one of those like weird spots where we don't have like cheap pitching to pair with him, and yeah, there's one guy under 7K that I'm going to bring up, and it makes me nauseous to even like think about it. So Toronto bats, I mean, just because I don't want to pay all the way up for Cole, I still, like I said, I think he's the highest. That was so loud in my ear. It scared me. It made me jump. If you're watching YouTube live, you probably just watched me jump. I was not expecting that. It was crazy.
My bad. My wife just got home and Obi was very excited.
Yeah, it just caught me off guard. It made me jump. You go back and watch. There you go. But yeah, just because I don't want to pay up for Cole doesn't mean I necessarily want to pick on Cole. I don't really have any interest in the Toronto bats here.
No, me neither. They're playing some pretty good baseball right now as they're fighting for that wild card spot, but not against Cole. I don't think we need it.
Other side of this game, if I'm picking on Berrios, I want lefties. I mean, you could always play Judge. He's just one of the best right-handed power hitters in the baseball. Austin Wells at catcher has been someone that has a little bit of power. He's a lefty. He's really cheap, under 3K. Hasn't really kind of translated yet into the bigs. He's struggled, but I don't mind cheap catcher against Berrios. But one of the reasons that we have interest in Berrios is there's just not a lot of lefties in this lineup.
Yeah, Wells hit a homer on Wednesday night, and you can always play Aaron Judge, but outside of that, I don't really have any interest in the Yankees.
If like Florio cracks the lineup in a decent spot, you could potentially take a shot on him at 2,600 too. Like I said, I want to target Bells or lefties against Berrios.
And it's honestly, I like Berrios, and we like a couple of these lefties, maybe Aaron Judge, but I think if you want to make this a 6-game slate and just ignore this game, I honestly think you can do it.
I don't hate that idea. Atlanta at Washington, where we go next. 9 total in this game. Braves a 270 favorite. Max Fried against Jake Irvin. Fried's 10K today. I mean, I think he has one of the highest floors on the slate. His ceiling might be a little capped here down the stretch. He's dealt with injuries over the last couple years, and I mean, they just don't have a reason to really push him past 100 pitches right now.
That's exactly it. They are secured in the number 1 seed. I honestly think like probably 80-ish pitches, 80 to 85 is going to be where we see him cap the rest of the year. It's a decent matchup, not a lot of power, but not a lot of strikeouts either. At 10K, I think we can do better.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I think he has a high floor for a 7-game slate. I just think there's going to be higher ceiling options today. Could you take shots on him? Sure. Jake Irvin on the other side of this game. I'm not playing Jake Irvin against the Braves. I mean, that's pretty straightforward for me.
Nope.
Bats. I mean, I think everybody for Atlanta is in play today. It's just more of can we fit them in kind of thing. Acuna came back, hit a home run. I mean, everybody. I hate being that guy and saying that, but I really realistically, Jake Irvin is hittable to both sides of the plate. I mean, his power numbers go down a little bit against righties, but still, I mean, giving up a ton of hard contact, not generating any swinging strikes, and has a really high barrel rate. Like, I want to pick on Jake Irvin here.
Best offense in baseball against pretty bad pitcher. It's the top offense on the slate, bar none. Yeah, everybody get to as much of them as possible. Pilar or what's that other guy's name? Nicky Lopez are the 2 guys I wouldn't have interest in. Everybody else is viable and great in a stack.
Pilar home run incoming. The Washington bats here, they are better against left-handed pitching. Their strikeout rate goes down. They have a little bit more power in this lineup, but like Fried generates so many ground balls and generates so much soft contact that they don't really have like a huge fly ball guy on this team. I just expect a lot of ground balls, a lot of singles, if anything. I just don't see a ton of upside here.
Washington was good for us Wednesday morning. We are not going back on Thursday. Max Fried is too good of a pitcher.
Yeah. Moving on. We got Baltimore at Cleveland taking on the Guardians. This game has no total. From everything I've read, it's going to be Hunter Gaddis pitching for Cleveland. I don't know how far he'll pitch into the game, but he's expected to pitch here. They're expected to call him back in this game and him pitch, but we'll see. And then Rodriguez is pitching for Baltimore. Rodriguez is my favorite pitcher on the slate today. Like I think, and I've been saying it, I know there's not a ton of strikeout upside against Cleveland, but I also think they're one of the worst, best teams in the league. Their record is okay, but their offense just isn't great. They generate a lot of ground balls. They don't strike out. They walk some. I think Rodriguez goes into this game with big ceiling. And again, like this is the time of year. I know you guys are sick of hearing me say it, but this is the time of year where games matter so much. And like now Baltimore is battling with the Rays for the AL East. Like this game and every game Baltimore plays right now matters. Like if Rodriguez is pitching well, I mean, he gets 90 plus pitches here.
Yeah, it's a scary matchup against Cleveland now that they're getting more of their lefties healthy. They got Naylor back. They added Cole Calhoun. And Rodriguez does have some pretty strong splits. But at an $8,100 price tag, the ceiling is there. It's like you said. So he's definitely not a safe guy. I don't think I'd target him in single entry, but in large field tournaments, I think he's definitely in play.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's probably my favorite pitcher. Single entry, 3 entry max. I love this spot for Rodriguez today.
It scares me, man. The lefties scare me.
Yeah, but they also give us more strikeout upside, which is, I mean, you're looking at this team and you're like, Cole Calhoun, but Cole Calhoun is a guy that strikes out over 20%. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Yeah, I guess like there's a little bit more power in this lineup, but still, like no one in this lineup against right-handed pitching has an ISO over 200 this season. Like this team just doesn't have that. Like they would be such a good team if they had like 2 really good bats behind Ramirez.
Yeah.
And they don't.
Yeah, I agree with you there 100%. And if we do see a few more of these young guys in the lineup that are more inexperienced and do strike out at a pretty high clip, that's going to bump my interest up more and more with Rodriguez. But I do really like him. But I think as it stands right now, I guess I said, I don't know how I'd feel about him in single entry, but there's really only one guy I know for a fact I like a lot better. And so I take back the kind of single entry thing, but I think I like Rodriguez a little bit less than you, and I like Barrios a little bit more.
There you go. Gaddis pitching here, like we've seen a little bit of him this year. He has shown decent swing and strike stuff, but low strikeout rate, big fly ball pitcher. I mean, Baltimore's not necessarily the team you want to be, a fly ball guy that gives up home runs. And I mean, even in AAA this season, Gaddis has a 2.2 home run per 9. I think I'm staying away from Gaddis with confidence today.
I thought Gaddis was the dude with the big beard who used to play for Houston, so I'm not going to be playing him at pitcher.
Evan Gaddis, right?
Yep.
There you go. Baltimore bats, one of my favorite stacks today. I think that Atlanta's going to get a lot of steam today, just in general. The Dodgers, I think, are going to be, even against Harrison, I think the Dodgers will be popular. And then I really think, like, with Peterson pitching against Philadelphia is going to be really popular. So I'm hoping Baltimore just kind of flies under the radar. I really like this spot for them against Gaddis. Like I said, guy that gives up power. Santander's 4,500, Ryan O'Hearn's 3,800. So we're getting some potential value under 4K as well. Yeah, I like Baltimore a lot today.
Mullen's been playing really well lately as well, and Gunnar Henderson is pretty consistently one of my favorite players to play in DFS. He's got power, he's got speed. It'd be nice he's one of my favorite young guys in baseball right now. He's amazing defensively as well. So you get third base and shortstop eligibility with him. I'm with you. I like the Baltimore stack quite a bit. Mix in some Ryan O'Hearn to save salary. I like this team.
Also, they called up Heston Kjerstad. He's a big power prospect, and he's 2,800 against Gaddis, who gives up a lot of fly balls. If he cracks the lineup today, I have a ton of interest in him as a value. Like he's hit 2 home runs and 13 at bats since getting called up. So
his only real downside right now, but it's also probably the thing keeping his price so low, is that pinch hit risk.
Yeah, I mean, when you have teams in contention, you're always worried about that. But I think with Aaron Hicks banged up right now, dealing with a hamstring injury, it definitely lowers the risk a little bit for a pinch hit. So, Cleveland side, any interest in Cleveland here?
Maybe Jose Ramirez, Josh Naylor, Andres Jimenez, Cole Calhoun, one off, or 2 of them in a mini stack, like a Bo Naylor, maybe even included mini stack, but I don't think I want a full stack against Rodriguez.
Yeah, I mean, Ramirez is so expensive as a one-off for me. I can't do it. I hardly ever even like look at Ramirez, and he beats you like every once in a while where he has like these monster like 2 home run games where he has like 25 plus fantasy points. But I mean, if he goes out and scores like 15 tonight, I don't think it like kills me at 5,800. All right, Mets and Phillies cruising along. 9 total in this game. Phillies a 175 favorite. We have Suarez and Peterson facing off. Any interest here in David Peterson?
Yeah, just because he's so cheap. I don't want to play David Peterson, but the Phillies are going to be picking up some ownership probably. He's 5.5K, so I actually do have quite a bit of interest in Peterson.
Yeah, I mean, he has been pitching a little bit better here recently down the stretch, but I have way more interest in the Philly bats than I have in Peterson. I hear you though. I mean, there's not a lot of options down here.
Like
Again,
he's like the only guy down here that I'm like, yeah, like I don't want to play Jake Irvin. Sheehan's gonna what does it say? He's gonna be an opener basically.
yeah,
I don't want to play Medina. So like he's my favorite guy in terms of the Chiefs.
yeah. So like Peterson could give up 2 to 4 runs here and still strike out like 7+, and you could be
Yeah.
really close to like 15 from David Peterson today. Doesn't stink.
No, not at all.
The other side of this game, any interest here in Ranger Suarez?
I don't think so. No, he's put together some good games recently. 7-9 isn't bad. I might include him in my MME pool, but I don't think I really want to play him against the Mets.
I want to see what the lineup looks like more than anything else. Like, if they leave like these lefties in the lineup and they're just like getting guys at bats to finish the season, and you're really only kind of fading like Lindor and Alonso, I might have interest in Suarez. So Suarez is like a fringe play for me that I really just kind of want to see what the lineup looks like. I mean, he's a guy that can generate a ton of ground balls and just eat up innings. And I think that is not a bad thing on this type of slate. So 6 innings, 4 or 5 strikeouts, 20 fantasy points with a win. Doesn't sound like a bad night for Ranger Suarez. Mets bats. I mean, the two guys I just said, Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, they're fantastic against lefties and huge ballpark upgrade going from Citi Field to Philadelphia here.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the full stack. It's going to depend on the lineup. Guys like Francisco Alvarez, if they're in there, I think I'll probably like quite a bit. But Lindor is great, and Pete Alonso is my favorite one-off on the slate.
Yeah, like what would be interesting here is if like they gave Brendan Nimmo the day off and like Tim LeCastro hit leadoff or something, and you could go like LeCastro at like 2,100 with Lindor and Alonso. That'd be a really fun little 3-man stack here. So not against playing some lefties, but Suarez ground ball rate's like 68% against lefties this year. I don't necessarily want to play a left-handed hitter against him. The Philly side of this game, I mean, Peterson can give up home runs with the best of them. We have a lot of power in this lineup with Turner and Alec Boehm, Nick Castellanos, even like Harper and Schwarber. They strike out more against left-handed pitching, but they also have plenty of power against lefties. What are your thoughts on the Philly bats?
Yeah, they got plenty of power, and so does David Peterson, giving up plenty of power against those lefties. Tops up and down, I like this stack. I'm gonna have a lot of them. I'm gonna have a lot of Peterson, and I'm gonna have a lot of a lot of Philly too. And then which of them kind of depends on ownership. If these lefties are going overlooked, I'm gonna want to play a lot of them.
All right, cruising along. Pittsburgh at Chicago Cubs. Night before game here, so we're not getting any kind of line for this one. I will say slight wind blowing in from what I'm seeing at like 8 miles an hour, kind of blowing right to left, but blowing in. So we'll let Kevin Roth, who gets paid the big bucks, talk about the weather in this game. They did post a total 8.5. Cubs are 165 favorite. Oviedo and Hendricks. Any interest here in Oviedo?
If all of a sudden we get a wind blowing in, yeah, I'm gonna probably want to play him. He's 7K. He's somewhat reasonable, but outside of that, no.
This game went bonkers on Wednesday. Bonkers. So I wasn't like overly excited about this game with Keller and Steele pitching, but man, if you play contrarian lineups with the game stack of this game, you're probably absolutely crushing the Wednesday slate. Like any pieces of this game with like King and like Miller, you probably are like sitting really good in tournaments. But
yeah, and or Gaussman.
Hendricks on the other side here against Pittsburgh. Like Kyle Hendricks isn't my favorite guy to pitch. His upside is just limited. Could see him having like a decent outing here, but I mean, just where's the upside? Like he needs 7 or 8 like clean innings with a win to have upside, and he hasn't shown any upside.
Yeah, no strikeouts, no thank you. At least somebody like Oviedo, he's probably going to put up 2, but he could put up 22, and I just don't see that in the cards for Hendricks, so I'm going to be out.
Yeah, see, I would rather play like Peterson at $2,100 less and
Yeah,
just chase the strikeouts instead of chase the ground balls for Kyle Hendricks. So
yeah, big time.
Pittsburgh bats, somewhat cheap. Anything jumping off the page to you here for Pittsburgh?
Nothing's jumping off the page, but it's like you said, they're cheap. So if I want to do something where I'm playing a pitcher in this next game, as well as somebody else moderately expensive, maybe I'll go to a Pittsburgh mini stack or play a lot of these cheap guys, but I don't really want to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind a lefty here, but Kyle Hendricks
Well,
still generates so much ground balls. So
yeah, like
it's
I'll
tough.
always take some Sawinski, but other than that,
Yeah. Connor Joe, righty, Byron Reynolds. I mean, you could get to a mini stack here just because it's a 7-game slate, but it's not my favorite. Oviedo on the other side going up against the Cubs. Let's talk Cubbies bats. He can get wild. Like he can have those struggles with command and walk a ton of people. I don't hate a Cub stack today. Like anytime you get these guys that struggle with command, this is the 4th game of the series. I think that you could look at the Cubs bats here.
yeah, you nailed it. Oviedo's a guy that, like, when he's on, he's actually a pretty solid pitcher, and when he's off, he's way off. So the full stack is completely in play, and then he's pricey, but getting to Cody Bellinger is just always a priority for me, basically on any slate. He's been so good this year.
He has. It's been a great bounce back season for Bellinger. Good to see him healthy, hitting over 300. I think he has like 26 or 27 home runs on the year, just pitching really well. All right, Detroit at Oakland. No total in this game. It sounds like it's going to be Scoble against Medina. Let's go to Scoble first. 9,600 here for Scoble. I mean, ceiling wise, one of the highest ceiling pitchers on the slate for sure. What are your thoughts here on Scoble?
Best pitcher park in baseball, one of the worst lineups, one of the best strikeout guys on the slate. He is by far my favorite pitcher of Thursday nights. 9,600, I think, is a totally reasonable price tag to him. He's shown massive upside recently, been over 90 pitches, 4 games in a row. He is my guy. I might hit the lock button.
Like it. Love the upside in this matchup against Oakland. The other side of this game, Luis Medina. I mean, I think he's okay. Like, if you were just gonna pay under 7K, I already said like it makes me a little nauseous. This is the guy. Like, Detroit's lineup is not great. I could see him just going out and throwing 5 innings, striking out like 4 or 5 guys, and maybe giving up a run or two and scoring like 18. And I don't think that's necessarily terrible on the slate. So I don't want to watch this game. This game's awful, but I could see myself taking Medina here.
In play, I think he'll probably stay in my MME pool. I would rather go Peterson for 1,100 cheaper, but it's a reasonable close your eyes and hope for the best play.
I think Peterson gets more ownership, and I mean Detroit is a 25% K rate team against right-handed pitching with little power. So with this ballpark already kind of seducing power a little bit, I mean I just again like
You are tired.
suppressing power. I'm not even gonna edit it either. I don't even care. I'm so tired.
Coors Field seduces power, and Oakland suppresses power.
Yeah, same thing. All right. Detroit bats. I mean, I always like playing Torkelson and Carpenter. If they're definitely going to be guys that are on my list today. But I think is always somebody you can take shots on if he's sitting up towards the top of the lineup. What are your thoughts on the Detroit bats?
Same page. Badu, Torkelson, and Kerry Carpenter are 3 guys I always like playing. If Jake Rogers gets a good lineup spot, I think you can include him. The ballpark sucks. I like targeting Oakland, but the ballpark sucks. And so they will definitely be a team I get stacks of in MME, but not one of my highest stacks.
Yeah, I think it's more of a mini stack. I don't think I have full stack of here. If Baez is out of the lineup, maybe someone cracks the lineup that's cheaper. Like maybe Badu gets a better spot. Maybe Parker Meadows gets a better lineup spot. I think like Torgelson and Carpenter, those two pieces for sure, and then just trying to figure out who that like third piece would be for me. I know you talked about how much you like Scoble and how much you like are potentially like thinking about lock butting him. Do you have any interest here as like a hedge, or are you just saying I think he's so much better than this Oakland team? I'm playing it, and if it doesn't work out, I'll move on to the next slate.
I could do maybe if I was doing 150, I would do like 147 with Scooball and then put a couple Oakland mini stacks in the other one, and it would be like a Giloff, Rooker, and then any cheap guy who gets a good lineup spot, whether it be Ruiz, Diaz, other Diaz. But Giloff and Rooker would be the only two guys I'd be somewhat interested in.
Roker, I mean, he's always someone at 3,300 that has a ton of upside against left-handed pitching. And then like Ruiz, like you said, stolen base upside, 61 stolen bases on the year for Ruiz this year. Just insane the amount. So I think like it is a small enough slate where I could see myself like playing Scoble and still playing Ruiz and like getting that like 2 stolen base game and like him putting up like 15 and like making my Scoble different, like my Scoble lineups different. So
If
I'm not
he's leading
stacking
off,
Oakland.
I agree.
Yeah, not stacking Oakland by any means. We finish up cruising today. You always can tell when I'm tired. I'm very quick when it comes to when I'm sleepy.
Man,
Giants,
one of the shows that you were gone last week, Tim and I were doing it. I think it was a 13-game slate, and we finished it in 37 minutes. It was crazy.
that straight must have been very straightforward. I've never done a 13-game slate in less than an hour. I guess that's never. Me and Grant, like when we've been working together for so long that like Grant and I can do big slates in less than an hour.
It was one of those ones where there was just like probably 10 guys that it was like there's no chance whatsoever we would ever play them. And
Right.
so just like X next, and we kept it pretty tight.
All right, we got San Francisco and LA taking on the Dodgers here. Harrison pitching for San Francisco. Yarbrough, long reliever for the Dodgers today, is what I read before the show. Any interest here in Kyle Harrison?
I want to because I love playing Kyle Harrison. $9,100 against the Dodgers is tough. He's only really put together one strong start, so I don't think I can do it.
Yeah, he's expensive. He's really been struggling at the major league level. Big prospect, and I mean, we will see how like he plays out over the next few years. But I mean, I think the Dodgers get to him today. He's just been so hittable, and their lineup is just so good. I think you could close your eyes and pray with Ryan Yarbrough today. Against the San Francisco lineup, they're one of the worst teams in baseball against lefties. Like, do they set this lineup for a righty or do they set this lineup for a lefty? Because like Shaheen could throw 2 or 3 innings, and we know how much they like pinch hitting. So I think this is a really
for a righty and then pinch hit.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting spot. Like, I want nothing to do with the Giants' bats in this game for what it's worth, but do you have any interest here in Yarbrough?
Yeah, if we get confirmation that he will be the long man today, I do. 6,800. He'll probably only go like 4-ish innings, but we know like he can get up to 80, 85, 90 pitches if he's pitching well. And so I'm down to get to Yarbrough if we can get confirmation that he will in fact be the long man.
Yeah, I mean, we got to obviously, like you said, check and see before lock what we're looking at. But it definitely sounds like it's going to be an opener long relief situation for the Dodgers today. With that kind of situation, I mean, I already kind of said it. Like the pinch hit risk is already high for the Giants. Like, I mean, who would JD Davis maybe Mitch Haniger, they don't typically get pinch hit for, but
any righty that starts.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
Any
But
righty
even
that
like,
starts.
even I don't know if I have a ton of interest anyway.
Yeah. Like Wilmer Flores is 4,300 now.
Yeah. Like the price on these guys are, I don't know. I'm probably not playing Giants today. Dodgers, I mean, they're expensive. They're in a good spot. This is a spot where, like,
if you have 4,300 remaining, who are you playing? Alec Boehm or Wilmer Flores?
Yeah, Alec Boehm.
Exactly. Yeah.
Dodgers, I mean, JD and Betts would be like the staples for me, and then just kind of hoping that like Taylor cracks the lineup. Kiki Hernandez cracks the lineup. So like the overall stack becomes cheaper, but yeah, very interested in stacking the Dodgers today.
Yeah, I love the Dodgers. I think they're arguably the top team on the slate behind Atlanta. Like Atlanta's bar none number one, but I think the Dodgers can compete with the Phillies and those other teams that we like for the next best team here. Harrison's been getting hit pretty hard lately. And they're the Dodgers. Like it's Atlanta 1A, and I think Toronto, Baltimore, Philadelphia is kind of the next tier. Or sorry, not Toronto. The Dodgers, Philadelphia, and Baltimore is the next tier.
All right, let's play the morning grind game, and then we'll get out of here. Under 8K to get 6 or more strikeouts. Who do you got today?
I'm going to go with David Peterson.
Yeah, I think he has probably the highest strikeout upside here. If I'm going to go Yarbrough, assuming that he is going to be the long relief guy today. Over 8K to score under 15. Who's your bust today?
Kyle Harrison.
Yeah. Free answer. Give me Berrios. Over 4K to hit a home run. Who's going yard?
Pete Alonso.
Yeah, I like that one. I'm going to go Henderson from Baltimore. Hits a home run today. Under 4K to get 2 hits.
Let's go with... why don't I not remember his name? Ryan O'Hearn.
Yeah, I like O'Hearn. Give me Chris Taylor from the Dodgers. Stack to score 6 or more runs.
Dodgers. I'm viewing Atlanta as almost Coors today.
Yeah, I mean they're just price wise so tough to fit in. I'll go Baltimore to score 6 or more runs today. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us. It's been a long season. One more day and one more week left of the morning grind baseball. I'm sure we'll do some playoffs as well. TJ, any final thoughts on this slate before we get out of here?
No, that's it. We got lots and lots of Thursday baseball and football content coming. So let's get out of here, get some rest, and back to it tomorrow. Happy birthday to your son.
Thank you. Hope everyone has a fantastic Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow talking more baseball. Have a good one. We'll see you then.